And now, it's Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on CL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Gray.
This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk, broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. The second half kickoff brought to you by Global Scarves. Get scarves for your local club, organization, school, or business at globalscarves.com. Good evening. My name's Tyler Green. It is the second half. Simon Fudge at Simon Fudge 74. I'm at Tyler Green FC. BC Place Stadium tonight was a rockin' as the Whitecaps win against Colorado and make themselves appear in the MLS playoffs for just the second time in their short MLS history. Still lots to get to in the second half, including audio from David Osted, Kendall Waston, Pedro Morales, and head coach Carl Robinson. David Sandals as well in just a moment to talk some injuries. And we'll touch on Steven Beitashour, who went out with a hamstring injury. Sam Adekubi had to come in. How serious could that be? Could he be available for Wednesday? Or is we don't know, obviously, how serious it is, so it is all speculation at this point, but we will talk to expert physios David Sandals about that. But first, it is time for the Italian scoreboard presented by Via Tevere Pizzeria Napolitana, 1190 Victoria Drive, serving up true wood-fired Neapolitan pizza in East Vancouver. I had some earlier this week. Absolutely fantastic. Love the pizza there. 1190 Victoria Drive. And check out the Via Tevere Neapolitan Express, the food truck around town as well. Simon, the scores from Italy.
Yes, 3 games today in the Serie A. Empoli 0, Cagliari 4. Parma losing at 3-1 at home to Sassuolo, and it was Sampdoria 0, Roma 0. Of the 7 games tomorrow in Italy, Juventus hosts Palermo, Cesena hosts Internazionale, Napoli hosts Verona, and AC Milan hosts Fiorentina.
Thanks, Simon. It is time now to chat with expert physios David Sandals. In the Injury Report, it is brought to you by Expert Physio in Burnaby, online at expertphysio.ca. And joining us on the program is expert physios David Sandals. David, thanks again for joining us this week here on the program. The Whitecaps are into the playoffs and relatively healthy, except for one, Steven Beitashour, who he left the game with a hamstring injury. Now, we don't know the seriousness of that injury, but he was substituted in this match. Is that something that he could recover from, or is this something that might, in fact, keep him out of the game on Wednesday?
Well, I think they might be having to win that game without him, and hope he'll be fit for the following week. We sort of have a vague categorization of muscle pulls or strains. Grade 1 strain being when a player gets a bit of tightness in it. When you test it, he may have lost a little bit of length on it, but when you tested it, he's got good strength, but he has some pain when he contracts the muscle. And those are usually be better in 7 to 10 days. So, the chance of him playing in 4 days, I think, are pretty slim. However, I must say young Sam came on and did a fantastic job. He played wonderfully well.
Definitely.
So, yeah. So I think Coach Robinson will be fairly confident managing without him for a game. But I'm sure the staff will be working hard to get him fit for the following week. But I rather doubt he'll even travel.
Now we often hear about hamstring injuries. What's sort of some of the basic things that people can do? Because it's really that's one of the big injuries that a lot of everyday soccer players week in week out struggle with. And I imagine that. Other than some icing or stretching, I think is pretty much all they do. But what should they be doing to recover from something like that?
Yeah, that's right. And there is that controversy with regard to icing now as a result of some research that's being done. Although I think if you've kind of, your muscle is swollen and warm, icing it, I think for the first 24 hours might still be appropriate. The rats that were iced in the experiment were iced over a couple of 2-week periods. So, but the big thing I find, and of course, is an injury that tends to recur. Is number one, make sure all the other joints around the hamstring are moving properly, the pelvis and the hip. Number two, make sure the athlete gets full length back on the muscle. And number three, the thing that often gets missed is the strength. And these are the thing I think that when the athlete finds that they've stretched it out, they feel pretty good. they've been jogging around at practice, feel okay. They go out in the game and they have a little acceleration when they get excited, and it goes again. And that's probably because the muscle hadn't been restored to its full strength. So there's a whole bunch of different strengthening exercises that athletes should be doing, starting fairly early on. Shortly a day or two after the injury, starting off just doing light muscle contraction with some perhaps light elastic tubing, and working up to bridging type exercises, or even bridging with their feet on a soccer ball, which is a very good hamstring exercise. So that's kind of like the process, and then fitness testing them properly before they return.
Perfect. David Sandals joining us from Expert Physio, taking care of all your physiotherapy needs at expertphysio.ca. David, you forwarded me an article earlier this week that was extremely interesting, but it was basically about what FIFA could learn from the NFL, and it involves concussions.
Yes, absolutely. It was a rather scathing article regarding FIFA's failures with regard to deal with concussions on the soccer field, particularly with regard to the World Cup final, when they were rather negligent in the way things are set up. That Christopher Kemar was allowed to remain on the match, of which he had no recollection of the preceding events in the game, and had to actually ask the ref if he was playing in the final. And he played for 15 minutes after what was a fairly obvious concussion. And this incident, of course, was watched by millions around the world. Has been described at best as atrocious by brain injury experts. The problem I see it is of course, the kids see that as being the gold standard, and if that's okay for the professional athletes, then why shouldn't I return after I got my head knocked? And of course, that's a bit of a problem, and it's an even bigger problem with kids, because they're discovering a lot more issues with younger brains. They seem to be more vulnerable to head injuries. They have a higher water content in the brain, a larger head in proportion to the body. Head's sort of kind of big, and the body hasn't fully grown. And they seem to have a more easily disrupted blood vessel system in the brain, which leads to a higher injury rate in kids than adults, including hematomas, bleeding in the brain, and a higher risk of what's called second impact syndrome, when you might have a fairly minor knock on the head shortly after, or within a day or two, having not recovered from that, getting another knock on the head, which then results in much more severe symptoms and occasionally death. So I think what we're going to see down the road, the future, holds is a lot of changes in the way concussions are dealt with on the soccer field, perhaps even some changes in the substitution rules so that these players can be assessed properly. The NFL, any player having a suspected concussion on the field has to be assessed by an independent concussion expert, not a member of either team. And if they are found to have some kind of concussion, they're not allowed even back with the team until they've been cleared by a neurological specialist before they even go back to their own team doctors. So the future in soccer, things will definitely change. Youth injuries, well, soccer organizations, school districts will be developing concussion protocols, which will have to be followed. There have been calls for having no heading of the ball in the game for under 14-year-olds. I wonder what that would look like. I'm not sure that will happen very quickly, but they are based on data showing differences in brain injury in contact sport versus non-contact sport athletes. It's called a subconcussion trauma. So even athletes that don't actually haven't actually reported symptoms when they get a certain special kind of scan on their brain show differences from athletes who are not involved in contact sports. So there's going to be, I'm finding now that in the literature, I'm seeing something new almost every week now. It's the in subject in sports, I think, and we're definitely going to see changes in the future based on the research that's coming out.
For sure, and an example of football is, even earlier today with the BC Lions, as Kevin Glenn goes down in the fourth quarter, has a little bit of a headache. So, basically they said, hey, we're keeping you out of this game because concussion protocol is that, you might have a headache. So there could be some other symptoms involved. So be on the safe side and not play you the rest of the game. So they are really doing a fantastic job. And high-contact sports, and soccer really needs to follow suit soon.
I think so. It will happen.
David, thanks again for joining us, and hopefully next week we're talking about the Vancouver Whitecaps playing in the knockout or the semifinal stage of the MLS playoffs, as they hopefully will have gotten past FC Dallas on Wednesday.
And, of course, we have Seattle's number, don't we?
We do. Would be a great matchup. Thanks again, David.
You're welcome.
That was David Sandals, physiotherapist at Expert Physio. If you care about your health, why not work with the experts? Convenient clinics in Burnaby Heights and at 8 Rinks. For more information on the services they provide, visit expertphysio.ca. Expert Physio, getting you back to full health. Visit them today at expertphysio.ca. And it's obviously a topic that will be continued to be discussed with concussions, until soccer really has a good system in place. Like I said, with Kevin Glenn, a little bit of a headache. Don't want to take anything for granted. He's out right away. Right now, Kia Vancouver is offering free oil changes, car washes, and airport parking and shuttle service only at BC's #1 Kia dealership, Kia Vancouver. It's at 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. Short time out, but when we return, we'll hear from some of the Whitecaps players, as well as Simon Fudge, who's still at BC Place Stadium compiling his thoughts on the match. We'll get into the Whitecaps match as well. And what should MLS do with Chivas USA? A new revelation as to a team that is looking to make the step up to Major League Soccer. So I'll give you my thoughts on what they should do in the manager's rant, which is coming up next.
Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on Sea Isle 650.
What do you want?
A balcony so high it looks down into soccer matches at BC Place.
A pub I can walk to with a dozen big screens.
Kevin O'Toole has created findaproperty.ca to help you find it. Designed to be simply straightforward, findaproperty.ca is an invaluable tool. That's Kevin O'Toole, Prudential Sussex Realty, for buyers and sellers in the greater Vancouver area like you. So find what you want.
A backyard big enough for my own soccer pitch.
At findaproperty.ca.
Kia's Gear Up and Save event is on now at Kia Vancouver. So come score on most 2015 models with ultra-low weekly payments and 0% financing for 84 months. Plus, get ready for victory with Kia's available winter-ready features. But hurry, this is a limited-time offer. So gear up and save. And remember, only Kia Vancouver gives you free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase. Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, and KiaVancouver.com.
Nearly 70 years ago, Charlie Wolford first started fixing loggers' boots. He did such a good job, loggers said if he'd make boots from scratch, they'd buy them and tell their buddies. Charlie named his brand Dayton, and ever since, Dayton Boots has put the same craftsmanship and love in every pair built right here in Vancouver. Times change, but the quality in every handcrafted pair of Dayton boots never has. Mention Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk and take 10% off Dayton Boots, 2250 East Hastings. Dayton, wear a legend that lasts.
The family story begins generations ago on Via Tevere, a street in the heart of Naples, where food was the celebration of life. Today, in East Van, Via Tevere Pizzeria Napoletana honors their family heritage with La Vera Pizza Napoletana, pizza that showcases authentic Neapolitan ingredients and the time-honored tradition of wood-fired cooking. Come experience La Vera Pizza Napoletana, true Neapolitan pizza at Via Tevere Pizzeria, 1190 Victoria Drive, and look for the Via Tevere Neapolitan Express food cart around town.
An ode to Offtober. 31 days hath Offtober, a celebration to remember. The energy saving has begun. Start yours at home. The benefits are clear. You'll save cash throughout the year. 31 days hath Offtober. Time to save a ton and have a bit of fun.
Celebrate saving power and money this October. More tips and prizes released every day at powersmart.ca.
This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on Sea Isle 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
Right now, Kia Vancouver is offering free oil changes, car washes, airport parking, and shuttle service. It's only at BC's #1 Kia dealership, Kia Vancouver, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. Whitecaps were winners in Colorado. 1-0 the final. Claim the 5th spot in the Major League Soccer Western Conference and will head to Dallas in the knockout stages of the MLS playoffs. Winner takes on Seattle next weekend in the first leg of the semifinals of the Western Conference. Good opportunity for the Whitecaps. We'll hear from some of the principals, including Kendall Waston, in just a few minutes. But first time now for the rant. And what should Major League Soccer do with Chivas USA? Here's my solution. Chivas is a team that is absolutely god-awful on the field. Terrible in the support. And simply taking the team away for a year or two and putting it on hiatus and then bringing it back under a rebranding doesn't change the fact that it is still Chivas USA. And it also just throws everything into disarray in terms of the Western and Eastern conferences and where teams play and where a team doesn't play. Do you now bring another team into the West with the addition of New York City FC and Orlando City FC? Well, here's my solution. Sacramento Republic, the owners, the mayor, the entire city looks poised to meet with MLS Commissioner Don Garber and the Brain Trust at MLS HQ in New York on Tuesday. If they are ready and are up and willing to take over a team like Chivas USA, here's my solution. Instead of just granting them another expansion team, charge them a fee. Yeah, the expansion fee, but then a little bit more. With that, you get the Chivas USA franchise, which then moves to Sacramento. You get all the players that were on Chivas USA, coaching staff, etc. But you can then do as you will with that team. You also have your team, the Sacramento Republic, that you already had to draw players from. Perhaps that head coach will be your coach. And then, if a team is actually interested in joining Major League Soccer in the LA area, they become an expansion team. You get those rights. And you get a fresh start with that team. You don't have that, well, you used to be Chivas. And all the dead weight that comes with it, the name. Giving Chivas a brand new start in Sacramento, I think, would be a fabulous choice. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. Tonight's Barber Poll brought to you by Barber & Co. Get the authentic straight razor, shave, or haircut, whatever you need. Hit up barberandco.ca. Who should be in the starting 11 for the Vancouver Whitecaps on Wednesday? Carl Robinson made a few changes, but it wasn't until Kekuta Mane come on today the Whitecaps really showed a little bit more threatening offensive nature. You can tweet us at SoccerTalk650, Tyler Green FC, either one of those. A lot of votes for Kendall Waston saying that he needs to remain in the lineup and be a big part of that lineup. And he is. He is going to be a big part of whether or not the Whitecaps can move forward in the Major League Soccer playoffs, whether they can get past FC Dallas. He was a big part of why they made it to the playoffs by scoring a goal tonight. And that's what he started talking about when the media caught up with Kendall Waston post-match. And the question was posed to him, what were you thinking as that ball that came off your head trickled into the back of the net?
I was thanking God, because it was a nice opportunity to score, and thank him that I scored, because we was working very hard from the beginning of the game. We knew that we have to win today because Portland won, so the only chance that we have was winning. So that was a big effort of all of my teammates, that from the beginning we were working hard and pushing, looking forward to win.
You scored a bigger goal in your career?
No, it's not the bigger goal for me. I think the biggest is going to be after, not today. So now we're just thinking in Dallas, and hopefully Wednesday we could prepare very good these days to go and make a good game over there, because we want to get in the playoff.
But they know me.
Finish?
When you rose for the ball, and you felt you were going to get there when it came in?
Yes, because yesterday I was practicing with Pedro after the training, and I know he was kicking the ball in that spot. So I just tried to get a good distance from the guy who was defending me, and hopefully I get there and I could hit it, and I just could hit it, not properly, but getting.
That was Kendall Waston talking to the media post-game, and he was a big reason why the Vancouver Whitecaps are now in the playoffs. Scores the important goal, but was also once again a beast on defense, and the player of the match for the Vancouver Whitecaps again today. He has been very, very good for the Vancouver Whitecaps, and a huge signing for them. And it's interesting that he's the player that steps up and gets the game winner today, because the player he basically took over for was honored in a pregame ceremony in Jay DeMerit. Without Jay DeMerit having injury issues and ultimately retiring, Kendall Waston would not be on this team, and perhaps the Whitecaps would not be in the playoffs. Somebody brought up a good point on Twitter earlier today, saying that Kendall Waston hasn't been with the Whitecaps long enough, but he is a player that should get tons of credit and possibly even become one of the MLS newcomers of the year. I think Pedro Morales is probably the Whitecaps candidate for that trophy. However, he's really the one of the key men. He was the Whitecaps MVP this year for his play on the field. His game, I think it went to a bit of another level in the second half. Was a bit indifferent for my liking in the first half, but he got better in the second half, had some very pinpoint passing, just dropping balls on a dime in that second half. One to Kekuta Mane was just very, very impressive. But he spoke to the media post-game. Here's what he had to say post-match.
Well, I feel so happy. Today, difficult game in Colorado. I think so. The complicated game today. Too much defensive, but in the second half, I think so. The more pressure for the Nats for, I don't know, maybe for the reason for the Portland win, and motivation, I think so more. And Kendall is good jump, and so happy for him, for the team, for the people here, for the fans, and now good game in Dallas Wednesday.
There's Pedro Morales speaking to the media post-match, sharing his thoughts on a variety of issues there, but ultimately getting into the Major League Soccer playoffs. Facing Dallas on Wednesday, What are their chances? We'll also hear from Carl Robinson, David Osted after a quick timeout. But Simon Fudge returns next as we talk about the chances of the Vancouver Whitecaps. Do they have a chance against Dallas? They haven't had much luck down in Frisco, but times may be a-changin'. That is coming up next.
Follow us on Twitter at SoccerTalk650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on CIL 650.
Whether playing soccer on this continent or football on every other, Umbro is the name worn by top players and teams worldwide. Those same uniforms are available for your team or club at Umbro.com. Umbro, proud to be the official supplier of Canada's men's and women's national teams, is celebrating 90 years of expertise in the game. If you want your club to play like the pros, dress them like the pros at Umbro.com. Umbro, the heart and soul of football.
Kia's Gear Up and Save event is on now at Kia Vancouver. So come score on most 2015 models with ultra-low weekly payments and 0% financing for 84 months. Plus, get ready for victory with Kia's available winter-ready features. But hurry, this is a limited-time offer. So gear up and save. And remember, only Kia Vancouver gives you free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase. Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, and KiaVancouver.com.
The Straight Razor Shave, a leading man classic. Steady hand, coaxing the rugged face back to smoothness. This nearly lost art has found revival at Barber & Co. Hot towels, straight edge blade, and your face. It's an experience that reminds you you're alive. You're a man in the company of history's finest men. Start at barberandco.ca. Pick your barber shop in Yaletown, Gastown, the Financial District, Cambiet 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. And relax into the big leather chair for the shave of your life.
Pain or injury slowing you down? Take it to the choice of many top athletes, Expert Physio. Serving the Lower Mainland for over 35 years, the team at Expert Physio is dedicated to individualized care with specialized services such as orthotics, acupuncture, IMS, plus dizziness, pelvic floor, and certified hand therapies. Over 300 physicians referred to Expert Physio last year, and 100% of patients surveyed said they'd choose Expert Physio again. You're in good hands with Expert Physio. Burnaby Heights or at 8 Rinks, expertphysio.ca.
Nearly 70 years ago, Charlie Wolford first started fixing loggers' boots. He did such a good job, loggers said if he'd make boots from scratch, they'd buy them and tell their buddies. Charlie named his brand Dayton, and ever since, Dayton Boots has put the same craftsmanship and love in every pair built right here in Vancouver. Times change, but the quality in every handcrafted pair of Dayton boots never has. Mention Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk and take 10% off Dayton Boots, 2250 East Hastings. Dayton, wear a legend that lasts.
This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on CIL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
If you haven't figured it out, Greg's theme tonight, Halloween, which is next Friday. It would have been awesome if you actually did Halloween theme next week.
But our next show's not till November.
I know. That's why it would have been awesome.
I was torn. I didn't know whether to do it today or next show.
No, today's good. Because it was a horrific night for FC Dallas down in Portland, playing Portland. It was a horrific night for the Rapids. It is Vancouver and Dallas Wednesday night. Right now, Kia Vancouver is offering free oil changes, car washes, airport parking, and shuttle service only at BC's #1 Kia dealership. It's Kia Vancouver, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. Simon Fudge, we heard from Kendall Waston and Pedro Morales. Obviously, extremely excited. And I was talking about Kendall Waston. It was interesting that he scored the goal for me to lead Vancouver into the playoffs on a night when they honored Jay DeMerit, the guy that Kendall Waston basically took over for, and without the injuries to DeMerit and his subsequent retirement, Waston might not even be here, and the Whitecaps might not even have been in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I tweeted about it right at the end of the game, and it's probably something I'm writing about right now. A real kind of almost symbolic passing of the torch. It just kind of hit me when the game ended, and probably it wasn't something that it really hit me until I just saw all the Whitecaps players right at the end of the game basically go to Waston and jump on him as being the man that delivered the result that they needed and basically delivered them the ability to go to the playoffs. And it was interesting tonight to see all of that, because on the one side you had the whole honor with Jay DeMerit, his family coming out wearing some of the jerseys that he wore over the years, Watford, MLS All-Star Game, U.S. national team and so forth, from his family, honoring that, putting some closure to his career and so forth. And then the man who came in to actually replace him and really prove ever more so as time goes by to be one of the best signings that Carl Robinson has made to this point as head coach of this club, and delivering on a goal that was an incredible moment all round. I really have to sort of speak to this. There's been very few times when I've seen a Whitecaps corner and you get sort of the segment of fans maybe close to that corner raising up to cheer on and hoping for the best. Everyone in this stadium stood up at that very corner when that very corner was earned, to hope it would end. And it was almost like a whole sort of surge, a sea of momentum that was just willing it to go in. And then the next thing you know, he has risen highest to get his head on it and put it in the back of the net. It was just an incredible moment all around, and quite an incredible evening in some respects.
Yeah, and it's funny, you look at this, the situation here with the Vancouver Whitecaps and now into the playoffs, and good on them. But, it's one of those things of, make no mistake, they wanted Bob Bradley to be the head coach. Didn't quite work out, so they went with Carl Robinson. They went with Jay DeMerit, gets injured. Well, they got to find somebody else. They find Kendall Waston, and hey, they're in the playoffs. It just seems like, a lot of things are just coming up right for the Whitecaps this season.
Yeah, they are, and in a lot of ways, if you're going to point to how that has been the case, it's Carl Robinson has probably been the main person that's been behind it. Piece by piece, he's been putting together a team here that come next season, and it is maybe a little bit further ahead to look at that. You can, even now, you can sort of say, you can already get the sense of how excited you could be to watch this team. It's been you could maybe argue there's been a bit of good fortune in that and some good bounces along the way, but in a lot of ways, the emergence of an initial plan is starting to bear some fruit here, and it's starting to show. And certainly in the short term here, we've got a potential dark horse in the Whitecaps going into these MLS Cup playoffs. How far they go and what they'll do is very much up in the air. But, the fact that they've been able to get to this point, we talked about it before. We weren't really sure that they could make the playoffs. I had actually obviously gone on the record that I didn't think that they would, but I'm delighted to have been proven wrong in that case. There has been a bit of a plan to that. And I think the person you have to look at is Carl Robinson for having been the person that's been able to make that happen.
We talked about it a little bit earlier, but the Vancouver Whitecaps now into the playoffs face an FC Dallas side who you talked about the fact that, not necessarily things going exactly their way of late with a couple of mediocre performances over the last couple of weeks. But, might be right for the picking for Vancouver in a place that Vancouver hasn't necessarily performed overly well, but, Vancouver possibly on a high right now and could ride that wave, continue to ride that wave.
I think so. And all you have to really do is look at their three performances against Dallas this year. They were actually fairly good in pretty much all of them, even the 2-0 defeat down there. I think there were large spells of that game where they played very well down there, and I think they would have won. They knew that they probably should have taken something in that game, and they all talked about it before they played Dallas in their last home game here, in which they got a very good win. Dallas, I mean, they did get some good results coming into this game tonight. Boy, they were poor, and it was really surprising to me with what was at stake and the fact that they could avoid having to play on Wednesday, that they didn't put in the kind of performance I thought that they could put in tonight. I thought Portland were far, far better. They showed me that they wanted the game far more than Dallas did, and to me, for them to lose that game and force themselves to have to go the more difficult way to go in the playoffs, even though they're at home, they're coming into it on a bit of a downer, and they're going to be facing a team that's going to be really charged up and excited to be there, and pretty much could very well be dangerous. Make no mistake, it's going to be a difficult game all around for both sides, but there's a lot there that makes the Whitecaps, that should have the Whitecaps and Whitecaps fans thinking they can make it and win it, even though they haven't got a great, they've got an atrocious record down there. They haven't won, and they haven't really had a lot of good performances over the years.
Vancouver Whitecaps making their way into the Major League Soccer playoffs. They will face FC Dallas on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Carl Robinson spoke after the match today, a 1-0 victory over the Colorado Rapids. Here's what Carl Robinson, head coach of the Vancouver Whitecaps, had to say post-match.
It's a fantastic achievement for the group of players I've got in there. I couldn't be more proud of them today because probably been written off a few times this year when things didn't go our way, but you know, in the 3 years I've been here, I've never experienced the atmosphere that I experienced today, and they're part of helping suck that ball in the net, because I did believe, part of me, that we might not score, if I'm being totally truthful to you, because we had a few half chances, but we stuck to our beliefs. The boys kept going, and it's credit to the organisation, to the supporters, and to that group of players in there.
Does this validate the plan the organisation has set forth in the blueprint and everything that's been building towards this moment?
It helps. It really does help, you know, achieving a goal of ours. And, you know, I'm not satisfied now because we've got a massive game on Wednesday, which I firmly believe we can go and win. And I said in the lead up to this week that Portland would win. Portland would win their game against Dallas because they've got a fantastic group of players. And last year they finished Western Conference champions. And, you know, if you'd have said to me at the start of the year we'll finish above Portland, you know, I probably would have been a little bit surprised with getting the job so late notice. But I said it's all credit to that group of players in there today.
With unbeaten 5 games now, 5 wins and 14 straight clean sheets, do you see yourselves as being like one of the informed teams now?
Yeah, we've not been bad over the last few games. We really haven't. I think today's game was probably the story of our season in 90 minutes, 93 minutes, because we played very well at times. We had a few half chances, we didn't take them. Then we started to get edgy a little bit. I made the decision to make early substitutions. I had to make a sub with Sam, who come on, you know, another homegrown kid, which is great. It was a fantastic performance. Kakuta coming on, which I knew would have an effect. He wanted to start the game, but I just made the decision maybe to bring him on later when they were getting tired. And the big man scoring the goal. You know, and I think it was fitting that David Ousted kept us in it with 2 fantastic saves in the last 3 or 4 minutes, because God knows what I would have done if one of them would have gone in.
And you know, he made Carl Robinson, Simon, talked about that. You know, couple big saves there at the end, and none bigger, I think, than Torres there, where he got down, really wide open, clear shot, and he had that opportunity to really get through and score that goal, didn't he? And David Ousted came up big. Simon, obviously, taking a listen to a few other things.
Hello?
Yes, Simon. I'm glad you're paying attention to the show, Simon.
No. Well, the problem is I'm getting a bit of oversound of the interview or the press conference there. I can't hear you guys too well, so.
No problem, Simon.
Yeah.
I think maybe are we still running the interview just on quiet there, perhaps?
There we go.
We go.
I can hear you guys a little bit more clearly.
There
now.
we go, Simon. Carl Robinson was talking about the fact that David Ousted came up big near the end there of the game, made a couple saves, and really came up big in the dying moments there. And that ball, a clear shot, one-timer really from Torres. It could have been a different story there for the Vancouver Whitecaps at the end.
Yeah, it could have been for sure. I mean, Torres was probably Colorado's best player tonight. I mean, he's a very talented player. He's got some ability about him, and a couple of the chances that he had were solid. But in both cases, I thought they were routine saves to a point for Ousted. He was able to get his body behind it and read them very well, and make the saves when they were. I did say sort of maybe to one or two of our media colleagues after the game that, you know, the way that last 20 minutes went, I just think there could have been, you know, if it was a better team, they might have been a way. They might have a better team might have found a way to peg one back and make it 1-1, which would obviously have been made a very different story. But Colorado and the way their season has ended, has been not great at all. I think that's 14 games without a victory. The way they ended up finishing the season, which is quite poor. They just didn't have enough about them to come up with that goal that could have really changed everything. Only Gabby Torres seemed to be the one guy that could do it. And yet he really didn't do enough to stretch Ousted, I thought, even though the saves that Ousted made were important.
Speaking of David Ousted, he talked to the media post-game. Here's what it was Michael McCall from AFDN Canada who asked him about that save near the end of the game there. And this is what David Ousted had to say.
Please catch it, something like that, and please blow the whistle was the other thought. No, I'm ecstatic that we got the win, and then in the playoffs now I think we deserved it. These last 5-6 games, I think people reacted fantastic, and we've shown that we can play against the best and play some good football.
That's 4 straight clean sheets now for yourself and for the defence. Does that show a really good foundation to build on now moving into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're a hard team to score against. Now we need to score a couple more goals and it'll all come together. But being hard to score against is important going into a tough playoff, and we're happy with that.
David Carl said that he didn't want he didn't want you guys to know what was happening in the other game, but he sort of inferred at halftime what had happened. What was the sort of the mood, at the break? And what was said?
Well, same as before the game. We knew we needed to win. I kind of had the sense that Portland was going to go there and make it hard for us, and they did. And credit to them. So we knew what we had to do, and I think our second half we did a professional job and got the win.
What's Kendall meant to this team?
Simon, obviously the Whitecaps now have some big Carl Robinson had some big decisions to make. We saw a couple changes to the starting 11 tonight, but it wasn't really until Kekuta Manneh came on that there was really some spark. There was really some threat offensively for the Vancouver Whitecaps, and things started to come together. Darren Maddox was into the game, but for me, didn't look like he was very. I thought I was pretty indifferent to his play. Some big decisions coming up for Carl Robinson. We talked to David Sandals as well from Expert Physio, who thinks that it's going to be tight for a guy like Stephen Beitashour to get into that lineup. So does Sam Adekubi get the start? Does Ethan Sampson get the start? For you, what are sort of the starting 11 that you would like to see Carl Robinson go with on Wednesday night?
Well, I think certainly up front. I think if he's over his illness and he's ready to go, I think Hurtado should probably start in place of Maddox up front. I thought he offered just a little bit more up front. I think that because of Eric's health, that change tonight was forced upon him. I mean, and it was an opportunity for Darren, no question, to sort of give himself a chance to be in the frame and in Robbo's mindset to start on Wednesday, but he just didn't do enough tonight. His touch was very poor, particularly in the first half, and certainly when the game needed a goal, he needed to come off, and Eric came on and replaced him. So I think Hurtado's going to have to come in and replace him. The more interesting one will be for me to either use Kekuta Manneh, either start him or like they did tonight, bring him off the bench. That's going to be kind of interesting. Does he also shift it around a little bit with Fernandez, maybe get him more in a forward role from where he was in midfield? It'll be interesting to see what he does in that sense. And I think in a lot of ways, Sam Adekugbe might have put himself in a very good position to get a start on Wednesday. I think the fact that he needed to be put in the breach there, and that he stood up and did a very good job makes it an interesting decision. Although what may overrule it and might see Ethan Sampson get into the starting 11 on Wednesday is the fact that Robert will want to probably get Jordan Harvey back to his natural position of left back. I mean, he has played at right back before, but he is a naturally left-footed player, so that might play a big factor in his decision in terms of what he does with the backline selections.
Yeah, it is going to be extremely interesting to see who gets in where. For me, I completely agree. I think you really have to go back with as much as I think a guy like Erik Hurtado hasn't necessarily done overly well in scoring goals, he's done a lot of other things that I think have been extremely good for the Vancouver Whitecaps. And so for me, that I think is going to be very key and very important to get him back into that lineup. It is going to be an interesting question of whether Kekuta Manneh gets in there. I think, at this point, he just seems to have that ability to change a game and really do something. And you kind of want to have that in your back pocket if need be. You want to get him in there. And then when I look at, that right back position, if Steven Beitashour can't go, it's going to be a tough one because, it's been over a month. The last game was that Ethan Sampson was actually in Dallas back on September 13th. And when he played the full 90 minutes, that was the last start. That was the last minutes, 90 of them, that Ethan Sampson got. And so you really have to weigh, do you want to go with a guy at this point in the season that hasn't played in a long, long time? That, for me, is going to be a big key. And the fact that, they go with Sam Adekugbe and get him into the lineup tonight really, to me, shows that they have a lot of faith in him, that they have a lot of that they think that he could be a guy that can really move in there and play well. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what they do there. But there's some interesting questions for Carl Robinson to answer. The second, and quickly here, Simon, because we're very short on time. But you look at the fact that throughout the season, everyone keeps talking about wanting the Whitecaps to open up more seating, to get rid of those tarps. Tickets are already on sale for that first leg against Seattle if the Whitecaps are to get there. This is really fans and supporters and Vancouver's chance to really make that happen and get rid of those tarps. They need to sell that game out quickly, and it'll be interesting to see if they can do that, but even before Wednesday's game.
Yeah, I think so. I think that they should certainly entertain the idea, particularly if the demand is there. I think a lot of it will depend on how quickly they would be able to get up to 21,000 sold. If that was to happen very quickly, from sort of like very late Wednesday evening on through into the weekend. And, of course, that depends on when the first leg would be. If it's a Sunday game, they've got every chance of certainly selling out, and then they're entertaining the idea that they could potentially fill the entire lower bowl. But it's something that they should entertain. But they'll probably take the same policy of, well, it's a question of demand. And if we're beyond, we've got people asking and seeing to buy tickets well beyond 21,000 already sold, that's probably going to be their reasoning. But, yeah, I think it's something that they should try and entertain because there's probably no better opportunity to be able to fill this lower bowl than to do so in the postseason.
Quick timeout, but when we return, final two topics of the program here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk, and they are Omar Salgado in the final cut, and Simon Fudge has hot fudge.
Follow us on Twitter at SoccerTalk650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on CIL 650.
Not that your stylist at the salon isn't doing a good job, but man, you deserve the big red leather barber chair experience of Barber & Co. Here's how it works. Go to barberandco.ca. Book your appointment at one of the 5 barber shops in Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie at 18th, and now Main Street and 12th Avenue. You can just walk in, too, and get your hair cut, hot shave, buzz cut, fade, or beard trim experience. A great wedding party idea, too. barberandco.ca.
Nearly 70 years ago, Charlie Wolford first started fixing loggers' boots. He did such a good job, loggers said if he'd make boots from scratch, they'd buy them and tell their buddies. Charlie named his brand Dayton, and ever since, Dayton Boots has put the same craftsmanship and love in every pair built right here in Vancouver. Times change, but the quality in every handcrafted pair of Dayton boots never has. Mention Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk and take 10% off Dayton Boots, 2250 East Hastings. Dayton, where a legend that lasts.
The family story begins generations ago on Via Tevere, a street in the heart of Naples, where food was the celebration of life. Today, in East Van, Via Tevere Pizzeria Napoletana honors their family heritage with La Vera Pizza Napoletana, pizza that showcases authentic Neapolitan ingredients and the time-honored tradition of wood-fired cooking. Come experience La Vera Pizza Napoletana, true Neapolitan pizza at Via Tevere Pizzeria, 1190 Victoria Drive, and look for the Via Tevere Neapolitan Express food cart around town.
Kia's Gear Up and Save event is on now at Kia Vancouver. So come score on most 2015 models with ultra-low weekly payments and 0% financing for 84 months. Plus, get ready for victory with Kia's available winter-ready features. But hurry, this is a limited-time offer. So gear up and save. And remember, only Kia Vancouver gives you free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase. Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, and KiaVancouver.com.
Hello, Miss Flower, I need you.
What Mr. Grosky needs is VancouverJobShop.ca.
Miss Flower.
Where he can find hundreds of local employees.
Miss Flower, Miss Flower, Miss Flower, Miss Flower, Miss Flower, Miss Flower, Miss Flower.
Post jobs and start getting resumes in minutes.
I need you, Miss Flower.
With more local employees than ever. VancouverJobShop.ca. Long name, amazing results.
Where are you?
This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on CIL 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
Time now for the final cut, brought to you by Barber & Co. on Twitter at Barber & Co. 5 full-service barbershops for your big haircut, pot shave, buzz cut, fade, and beard trim. You can get the ultimate barbershop experience. Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie and 18th, and the new spot on the corner of Main and 12th. That's barberandco.ca. I went and saw Martin and the boys at the Yaletown location this week to get my hair cut. Changed it up. Got the new style. And for the final cut today, we talk Omar Salgado. Mexican club Tigres has apparently made an offer to the Vancouver Whitecaps for the out-of-favor forward, according to sources. Salgado's Whitecaps career has seemingly come to a halt after he had a poor reaction to a challenge from Mitch Perreault and then an argument with Martin Perd. It's been a long, storied history with Omar Salgado of some bad choices. While sources in Tigres have said the offer to Vancouver, Whitecaps president Bob Lenarduzzi told me earlier today that he can't comment on any potential offer for the player. Omar Salgado went down for a 12-day trial. He was down there for the Tigres-Monterrey matchup tonight. Has some pictures on Instagram already of that game. They're looking to, Tigres that is, are looking to formally sign the striker. So it looks like Omar could finally be done here in Vancouver. Officially, like I said, the Whitecaps have no comment. Unofficially, the Vancouver Whitecaps are looking to get rid of Omar Salgado. There's no real surprise in that, whether that's to Tigres or another MLS franchise is to be told. They're basically going to go with the best offer, so they are weighing their options at the moment. And because there's an MLS roster freeze, it's not like they can trade anybody right now. So Omar Salgado might have to wait a little bit before his future is officially decided. Well, the Whitecaps controlled their own destiny tonight. They got a win. They are in the playoffs, and that's a good thing. Also a good thing, Kia Vancouver offering free oil changes, car washes, and airport parking and shuttle service. It's only at BC's #1 Kia dealership, Kia Vancouver, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com. Another good thing about the program, it's hot fudge.
Oh, baby. Hot fudge with Simon Fudge.
Well, it's been a difficult week across this country, particularly these tragic events in Quebec and Ottawa. And I just wanted to sort of say that it's one of those things that's made people reflect on their pride as Canadians or whomever they are. And I just want to say to everybody out there, show your pride in anything and for anything that you represent or have been part of. For me, being part of my old university, Vancouver Island University, has been a very proud weekend for me to see the two men's and women's soccer teams do really well in the Pac West Conference. The women's team, led by my buddy Anu Kang, are Pac West champions. They won tonight, and they're off to the CCAA Nationals. Also, the men are off to the CCAA Nationals. They're playing in the Pac West final tomorrow. Should go out and show your pride, whether it's for your alma mater, your community, your province, your country. We've been reminded of how proud we should be of those kinds of things this week. So go out and show that and just be mindful that it's something that you should be always willing to do.
Well said, Simon. For the crew here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk, my co-host Simon Fudge, producer Greg the Hammer Ballack. A special thank you to Thomas Rage and Fred and Co. Thank you for your continued support. My name's Tyler Green. You can download the podcast at CIL650.com. Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk returns next Saturday at 10. Will we be talking about a Whitecaps Seattle matchup? Find out. Whitecaps in Dallas on Wednesday, and we're back next Saturday at 10. Thanks for tuning in.
The Vancouver Street Soccer League isn't out to change the world. Just give the men and women in our homeless communities a chance to play soccer. Regardless of skill, everyone's included in practices and matches with teams from UBC, the Vancouver Police Department, the Vancouver Mayor's Office, and more. The focus is fun, but it builds skill and confidence, and that can change someone's world. Find out more at VancouverStreetSoccer.com.
Vancouver Street Soccer League. Get into it and get behind it. And let's change the world.
Kia's Gear Up and Save event is on now at Kia Vancouver. So come score on most 2015 models with ultra-low weekly payments and 0% financing for 84 months. Plus, get ready for victory with Kia's available winter-ready features. But hurry, this is a limited-time offer. So gear up and save. And remember, only Kia Vancouver gives you free lifetime car washes, oil changes, and free airport shuttle and parking with your new Kia purchase. Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, and KiaVancouver.com.
Golf is not a retirement plan. Having a retirement roadmap helps you navigate a clear route to your desired destination.
Jim Doyle, Senior Financial Consultant, Investors Group, has the skills and experience to help create your plan.
Life's twists and turns can set you up for unintended detours. With Jim's help, you can understand why following a well-worn path can get you where you want to go.
Join Jim Doyle, Senior Financial Consultant with Investors Group Financial Services, Inc. on CL 650's Boomer Life this Tuesday at 6. Other Boomer Life Tuesday sponsors include Abacan and Associates.
There are a lot of myths about retirement living.
They're going to lock me up and throw away the key.
At Riviera, you can come and go as you please.
There's never anything to do at those places.
Riviera has many programs and activities to engage your body, mind, and soul. That's why when you move to a Riviera retirement residence, you keep living your life the way you want.
Join Riviera Retirement Living on CL 650's Boomer Life this Monday at 6. Other Boomer Life Monday sponsors include Canadian Estate Diamonds and Mainland Hearing.